Hey guys, I got a knife review for you today. This is on my first ever EDC blade. But before I get into it, I just want to explain a little bit how I came about this blade. Something about a year ago, I acquired this in a trade. If you don't know what this is, it's a Smith & Wesson cutting horse. And I used the heck out of it. I mean, you can tell it's all scratched up, all beat up, and it never failed me. But I always kind of was never really into the whole tactical blade thing, and the Tanto blade didn't really do it for me. So I started to, look around and see what I really like, and I knew about buck because my dad had a buck. So I decided to start watching some videos, start reading reviews, and really look into what features were the best for me, which is what you got to do when you decide you're going to buy an EDC, because it's something you're going to carry every day and you're going to use every day. And I had to find something within my price point, yada yada yada, all these considerations to be made. I found the Buck 750 REDPOINT. Now, you'll find a couple videos out there describing, features and specs about this blade. I won't really get into all the specs about this blade, but I'll tell you what I like and what I, don't like so much about this blade, which there are a few things I don't like. That's why I carried it for so long. And I've carried it for about 8 to 10 months. You can tell by just how dirty it is and stuff like that. You can see the blade, it's kind of got all kinds of dirt and fingerprints on it, just because this is my everyday carry. And that's what your everyday carry should look like. But anyway, enough of that. This is the Buck 750 REDPOINT. It's just your standard EDC blade. Not a lot of frills. It's got a couple features that are handy, but its simplicity is one of the great things about it. It's got a 420 HC 2 3/4 long blade. Buck's real famous for their 420 HC steel, and this is no exception. This is one of those really great resilient blades that'll just hold an edge like crazy. I've only had to sharpen it once in all the time that I've had it. It's got a blade hole, supposedly to help in the deployment of it. At least that's what it says in the manual anyway. I never used that, but it's a cool little feature that kind of caught my eye when I was first shopping for it. It's got an all-weather grip. It's sort of a rubbery, silicone-y feel to it, and it does attract dirt like crazy. I gotta tell you, just carrying this in your pocket for a couple hours, it'll get pretty dirty just from your hands and shit like that. It's got what Buck calls a utility arch at the end, and basically it's made this way. You can tell it's kind of a really big overdone loop, and that's so that supposedly you can clip it to whatever you want with more ease than you would a smaller loop, or at least I guess that's the idea. And then you'll see a little tab inside it right there, and basically it's a bottle opener. That's another thing that really got my attention. Me being the beer drinker that I am, really needed a bottle opener on me at all times. So that was great to have. But one of the greatest things about this knife is what Buck calls their safe spin system, and basically what it is this little button right here is actually a slider, and you pull that back and that's your lock. It locks the blade in place, and when it's closed it locks it in place so it doesn't open up in your pocket. And it's one of the safest blade locks that you'll find, and it's also one of the most convenient. When I first was looking at the blade, I always wondered about if I would get tired of it and it would, get in the way of me deploying it pretty fast, but really there's nothing to it. It becomes second nature if you own the blade long enough, which I have. And really doesn't take that long anyway to get used to it. So it's got the integrated bottle opener, it's got the great blade steel, it's got that cool little loop, it's got a really nice pocket clip that sits well in your pocket. As far as some things that people don't like about it, what I've heard from some people's reviews and stuff like that is they don't really like how grippy this is and how it gets stuck in your pocket. And I have to agree. I mean, it does kind of get stuck in your pocket a little bit, especially compared to the Smith & Wesson, which was just plastic. You just stick that in your pocket and it slides right back out real easy. Another thing about it is it's a little bit thick. I think it's a little thicker than it should be. I mean, for what it is, this little area of the blade that you grip onto is rather thin, and that's fine, but then you get up to where the pivot is, and it's really kind of bulky, which is great once you have the blade open to handle with, because you can really get good purchase on it. But in your pocket, it just seems kind of bulky because it's right there where the edge of your pocket is. Other things like one of the biggest deal breakers for people is that this knife's made in China. and I'm not too sure if it's still made in China, but I'm pretty sure it is. But for the price point, I mean, I need $2 for this knife, and that's pretty good for everything that you're getting in this package. You'd be hard pressed to find a better deal. You know, there are a few Kershaws out there I know that are really great value, but I really liked this one. I liked the overall design. It was one of the things that attracted me to it the most. I saw some reviews, saw some videos, and one of the things that really got me into this knife, or really led me into this knife, was I saw a video by Scalagrim, and he had the buck Rebel, and he had explained about how it was nice that that knife wasn't particularly aggressive looking. It wasn't too menacing looking. It had a design that was much more utilitarian, and that's a very good point. I think that this kind of blade is great to have in the workplace because it's not too flashy or just too aggressive looking. Because certain people will, if you pull a knife out to use it for whatever reason, in the workplace they tend to be kind of made nervous by it for some reason. I don't know why that is. Not everyone, but in some situations. And you won't really run into that problem as much with this blade just because of the design. It's a little more subtle. It's a little more tool looking. It looks like something you have in your toolbox or in your pouch or something like that. So that's cool. I really use this blade a lot for cutting straps, cutting rope, anything that I use during the day. But now that I got my new EDC, which I'll talk about in another video, nowadays I've been using this, you know, just sort of to have around when I go to a party or a kickback, or just to have, you know, the bottle opener, really. So it's a great knife, but I'm starting to retire it just because I found something different. And I'll probably still keep it in my EDC every once in a while, but really for the money, you really can't beat this knife. That's the point. If you're shopping around for a good knife and you want a good company, Buck is the company for value. It really is. You can find great Buck knives at Walmarts and Kmarts, and you'll always find them on sale. You always find them on eBay in all the different colors you want. Oh, and also I should mention that the REDPOINT also comes in what they call the REDPOINT Rescue. And the great thing about that knife is that instead of this arch and instead of the bottle opener, it has a safety belt cutter. So in the event of an accident, you have that that blade just to cut your belt right away. It's also good for cutting straps and things like that, so that's cool. But the whole point of this is, if you really want a good EDC blade, this is the one, I would say. I would recommend this blade for a lot of reasons. The fact that it's a Buck, they're a great company, and if you need customer service, they're great. They back their products well, and just the general design of this knife, there isn't anything on this knife that isn't made for a purpose. And that's why it's my favorite EDC blade, or it was for about 8 to 10 months. So if you want a good blade, I would recommend the 750 REDPOINT. That's all. Thanks for watching.